One. In this video, we're gonna cover what is transformations, what are the different types of transformations used in Informatica Power Centers. So this is a very important topic. We are just going to quick overview of the transformations, and from the next lectures, we're gonna cover one by one each transformation. So in our previous lecture, we have seen the Informatica Power Center repository manager. How can we connect to the repository? Then designer. In designer, we have seen how how can we import the source, target, and one-to-one load. um, if you haven't seen, you can watch my previous video, video number 2. I have covered these topics, then workflow and monitor. So in designer, we have, in our previous lecture, we have just load the one-to-one data, that is it reads the data from the source and write as it is to the target. So in between that, in our mapping, we have something called transformations. So this transformation we can see here also: source, qualifier, update, strategy, expression, store, procedure, sequence, generator. There are many transformations are here. Also we can use this transformation from here, import it, or we can use it from here. These are also transformation. This is update, strategy, then expression, filter, aggregator, lookup. These are all the transformations which are used in Informatica Power Center. So we're gonna cover how can we use and what are the use of this transformation, and how can we use or input this transformation in our next lecture. In this video, we just cover what is transformations and what are the different types of transformations used in Informatica Power Center. So the transformation is repository object that reads the data. Now that is read the data from the source or source qualifier, then modifies. So we have seen here. So source qualifier is reads the data, target is write the data to the target. In between that, if you want to do some calculations, modification, this is a raw data basically. So if we want to do any transformations or like modifications or calculations on that data, so for that we can use the transformations. So what transformation is do? It reads the data, modifies the data, and passes the data to the target. So transformation in mapping represent the operation that integration service perform on the data. All the activities like aggregation, sum, then filter out, and many more things there are used in transformation. So it represents all the operations that integration service do on data. So it converts the raw data into some information or business used data. That can be business used in to make and decisions. So the transformation, the basic use of transformations. So there are two different types of transformation. These are different. Mainly divided into active or passive transformations, and connected or non-unconnected transformation. So we gonna see what are these types. So, but make sure you remember this one, because this might be asked in shortly. They're gonna ask you this question, that is what is active and passive transformation in Informatica Power Center in your interview. So this is very important question as for the interview. So active transformation is something that perform the those in active transformation. It changes the number of rows. So if what is this point is change number of, if I'm taking suppose this data from the source. So when I loading this data and to the target, in between that I use some transformation and it changed the, suppose I'm getting 100 record from this source qualifier and loading this 50 loading just 50 records to the target, and by using some transformation. So any transformation which changes the number of rows, that can be as active transformation. We can say any transformation which has ability to change the number of rows, that can be considered as active transformation. There are many: filter transformation, or in many examples we're gonna see it later. Then the transformation which changes the transaction boundary, that can be considered as active transformation, like transition control transformation. Then they change the row type also. So any transformation which which having this property like that can change the number of row, that can change the transaction boundary, that can change the row type, that can be considered as active transformation. Please remember that that can be very useful for your interview purpose. This is surely gonna ask you in your interview that what is active and passive transformation. Then um, what is passive transformation? The passive transformation is something that cannot use this property. I mean the transformation which cannot change the number of row, that cannot change the transaction boundary, that cannot change the row type, that can be considered as passive transformation. Then connected and unconnected transformation. So we have this pipeline. So there are some transformations which can be part of this pipeline, so that can be connected, that is connected to the source input and output. That can be considered as a connected transformation, and some of the transformation that cannot be part of this pipeline. We can call it from the other expressions. So that type of transformation called as unconnected transformations. So these are the types of transformations. We're gonna see these transformations one by one in our from our next lectures. So there are many transformations like see here. You can just go through this all the types of transformation. We're gonna see how can we use these transformations from our next lectures, and make sure to watch the previous lectures also, and watch this playlist from the sequential order so that you can have a better idea, and we will cover all the points which can be asked in interview, and it will help you to clear the interview also. Thank you.